Hello friends, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Yasir Tanveer and I welcome all of you on my channel, YouTube channel. And in today's video, I am going to discuss with you the essentials of ISO standard. And this ISO standard belongs to the environmental management system, and it is named as ISO 14001 2015. By 2015, we mean that the standard was published in 2015, and by 14001 means basically the ISO standards are termed as 14,000, 9,000, or 18 or 23,000, and like that. But the environmental management system, the standard related to specifically related to the environmental management system is the ISO 14001. So let's explore this standard and try to understand what this standard actually demands from us. So first of all, we need to understand that what is the aim of this standard. So there are basically there are many aims of this standard, but the three most important aims of this standard are: number one, to prevent or mitigate the adverse effects on environment due to one's organization's work. Number two is uh, give assistance to fulfill the compliance obligation. Like, every organization has some sort of compliance obligation, which can be legal obligations as well. So every organization needs to comply with the legal obligations in which country that organization is based on. So the second purpose is to fulfill the compliance obligation. Third purpose, or you can say third aim of this standard, is to enhance the environmental performance of an organization. How we are going to do that, how we are going to achieve that, this is the aim of basically this video. So let's move on to the clauses. Basically, the clause do not start from clause number 4. So why I'm going to discuss here from clause number 4 is the reason because the actual requirements of this standard starts from clause number 4. So first of all, what is the main purpose of this clause? ISO 14001 standards obliges the organization to first of all identify the context in which that organization works. So any organization which is going to implement this ISO standard needs to first identify the context. After identifying the context, now, first of all, what is meant by context of the organization? Basically, context of the organization encompass scope of the organization, which is geographical scope and uh, technical scope as well. So basically, there are three requirements of clause number 4, which are enlisted here in as 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3. So how you are going to identify the context of the organization is, first of all, you need to write all the internal and external issues faced by the organization. So get a paper and a pen and write down what sort of internal or external issues that your organization is facing. So internal issues can be termed as the issues faced by the organization due to its large workforce, or external issues. An example of external issues can be uh, the organization which is working in a society. So the societal pressure, some any sort of societal pressure can be termed as the external issues faced by the organization. So first of all, we need to identify the internal and external issues faced by the organization. After identifying the internal and external issues, clause 4.2 uh, states that you need to identify your interested parties. What are your interested parties? Who are your interested parties? So by interested party, I mean uh, anyone that can affect your organization's work is called interested party. And similarly, uh, anyone that can be affected by your organization work. So this goes both ways. Anyone that can affect your organization, or anyone that can get affected by your organization work. So both of these are will be termed as interested parties. So the second step is to identify who are your interested parties, and simultaneously you need to identify their needs and expectation. What Who are the interested parties, and what are their needs and what are their expectations? Now, what is the difference between needs and expectations? Basically, needs are those requirements uh, that are mandatory, yani basically you need to fulfill all those requirements. And expectations are those requirements that if you can fulfill, then your interested parties will become more satisfied. So you need to identify both the needs and expectation of your interested parties. Now, the third point is to identify the scope of the organization. That includes all of your compliance obligation, like I said, technical and geographical boundaries, and the activities, products, or services offered by your organization, and the ability to exercise control and influence. So if you are going to identify the scope of your organization, then you need to look for these four things: compliance obligation, technical and geographical boundaries, activities, product, services, or whichever is related to your organization. And the fourth one is the ability to exercise control or influence over them. Now, what is meant by this documented information? The ISO standard makes mandatory on you that you have to write down these scope and maintain it as a documented information. What is documented information? It is not necessary that this scope should be written in a documented form or on a paper. But by documented information, I mean any sort of information that is reproducible. So, for example, a written statement is also not a documented information, and a picture, a snap, or an Excel chart is also an example of a documented information. So, you need to keep the difference between the documented information and document itself. So this is for now. Uh, we have discussed here the aim of ISO standard, and what is the purpose and what is the requirement of clause number 4, which is the most important and basic clause of ISO 14001 2015. So in next video, we are going to discuss clause number 5 and so on and so forth. Until then, thank you so much. Please do subscribe my channel, and if you have any sort of queries, then do ask in the comment section. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.